Quick fix here. This bike has a 3x10. We're going to make that into a 2x10 with a conversion. This is a mountain 3x10 setup. It happens to be on a Shimano crank. Cranks are in many different varieties. They attach in a bunch of different ways. And so we're not going to go into detail about how to remove a particular crank. You'll need to find that from the manufacturer, follow their instructions how to remove the crank, but this side of the crank does need to be removed. Once the drive side of the crank comes off, have a look. Now's a perfect time to spend some time cleaning both the crank and the frame down here that doesn't often get cleaned because of the chain rings being in the way. Now that the crank is off, our next step is to remove the chain rings from the crank. We'll start with the small one, removing each of these chainring bolts, some of which are going to be likely very hard to get unstuck and get going. And we'll just take all of them off. Now that we've taken the other rings off, we've cleaned it, especially the surfaces where the other rings are going to mount. Now it's time to put on the new rings. The chain rings all have a mark, an indicator, usually mechanical, like this little divot here, as well as the arrow. That lines up with the crank arm, and they always are done with the WickWerks rings so that the laser marking is out. So it's going to go on like so. For the 2x10 conversion, double to triple, we use these small pieces here to go in place of where the big ring once was. So we'll take and mount the chain ring just like the big ring had been mounted, except we'll use these small tabs to take the space and the place of where that big ring used to be. Kind of tedious with all these little parts, trying to get them all to line up and stay in place while you're tightening them, but not impossible. And we will do that then for all 4 of the bolts. We have now accomplished the attaching the rings. We now have our little tabs out here on the outside. We have tightened all 8 of the bolts. I say 8. We have them now mounted. All of the alignments are correct. We have our alignment notches with the crank arm. We have the laser etching all showing on this side, the outside. We're set. Now we have the mountain 2x10 in place of what was a triple. We've adjusted the chain length and made it correct. We've adjusted the derailleur. We've moved it down to fit the new chain rings. We did the cable and set screw stop adjustments. We did a little tweaking on the derailleur itself, and now it is all set to go. As a verification, we just pedal it a few times, shift it good, and we're getting exactly what we want in the shifts, nice quick shifts. That thing is ready to go.